Welcome to a very exciting week here on Instigating with Clarkey and Gary. Every week's exciting, but this one is a little bit more exciting because we had a very special guest on the show. Clarkey and our guy, Ian Doig, our golf insider, sat down with someone very, very special. Clarkey, it was a big one. Tell us what the fans can expect here.
We took about 50 minutes of Gary Koch from NBC Sports, also obviously a professional golfer in his day, still on the senior tour, just qualified for the U.S. Senior Open. It was a great conversation. Doigy and I did that a couple days ago, and I can't wait for everyone to watch it because it's fun. It's a real fun interview. So there we go. Gary Koch, I think, could be one of our bigger guests of all time on the show.
Absolutely. A beloved golfer and analyst, six-time PGA Tour winner. That's right after this on Instigating.
Clarkey and I would like to welcome to our show this week Mr. Gary Koch from the PGA Tour and NBC Golf. And Koch, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Well, Ian and Chris, I'm looking forward to some fun conversation. Appreciate the invitation to come on and join you guys.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, most people in the golf world right now will recognize Gary Koch as an NBC commentator and most famously known for his line of better than most, and which is a great call. And we all know that that was Tiger Woods making a big putt at 17 at TPC a number of years ago. I've been very fortunate to know Mr. Gary Koch for 44 years, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But what a lot of people don't know about Gary Koch is he's a six-time winner on the PGA Tour. He won the U.S. Junior Amateur at the age of 16, I think I recall, and played on the Walker Cup team, played on an Eisenhower Cup team, and played in 47 majors with top tens in every one. Very, very impressive career. And Gary, I think for now that's enough about your career and that. But what I really want to talk
That's more than enough, Ian. More than enough.
So what I want to start with is this. I have known you for, like I said, basically 45 years, and I've known about your values and your humanity and your giving because I was the recipient of all of that. And you are the current recipient of the Payne Stewart Award. And I think it's very fitting that you are being called back to the booth next week at Pinehurst, 25 years after Payne won there. And I would just like your thoughts on getting that award last year.
Well, Ian, it was a big surprise, no question. I had no idea I'd even been nominated to potentially receive the award. The PGA Tour pulled a real fast one on me. I got a call from a gentleman at PGA Tour Productions who I had worked with for, on and off many years, covering PGA Tour golf. And they said they were getting ready to start working on the 50th anniversary video for the Players Championship. And since I had played in a number and broadcast everyone since 1997, they'd like to come to the house, set up, do an interview, tell some stories and recollections of, all those different events. So I bit hook, line, and sinker. And, they showed up at the house. They set up in the family room. And, I've got this lady asking me questions, and I'm all into it. I'm telling all these great stories and everything else. And about 10 minutes into it, the front door opens and Tracy Stewart walks in. And it was just... it was mind-blowing at first. I'm glad I didn't say the first thing that came to my mind, which was holy, you know what? But it became very obvious very quickly why she was there. And it was a very emotional thing. And I come to find out it was the first time that Tracy has ever gone in person to notify the winner of the Payne Stewart Award. The rest had all been done over the phone. So it made it even that much more special. And of course, having known Payne and Tracy in their years on tour, when I was on tour and Donna was with me, it was a very, very special day. It really was.
I bet. And as you just mentioned, you knew Payne quite well, and I knew Payne very well from the early 80s and stuff, and got to play quite a bit of golf with him and that. So for me, when I heard that you had won that award, my first thought was it's about damn time. And so congratulations on that. Any thoughts from you, Clarkey? Any questions?
I would love to know how did you meet Payne? Like, let's go back and like a guy who obviously we all miss as a golf fan. I miss him. He was a friend of yours and a friend of Ian's, but how long did you know him? And just give us a couple of stories, maybe Payne Stewart stories.
Yeah, well, I first came, he first came on tour kind of early 80s. So, I had already been on tour about 5 years or so. And to be honest with you, when he first came out on tour, he wasn't that easy to get to know and get to like. He was a little on the cocky side. A lot of us felt like he was a little full of himself. He certainly was not afraid of the spotlight. I mean, that was obvious with how he dressed. He wanted to make sure that he was the only one that looked like he did. But, as you got to know the guy, you could tell he was a good family man. You could tell his values were in the right place. He was just very confident in the way that he played golf. Some stories. Well, one of my favorites, I was a member and still am at a golf club here in Tampa, Avila Golf and Country Club. And back kind of in the late 80s, there was a gentleman there who had gone to Italy and decided he was going to import golf shoes to the United States, very high-end golf shoes, custom made in Italy. And he came to me and he goes, any ideas who I might approach about wearing these shoes on the PGA Tour? And I said, yeah, I can think of one guy right away, Payne Stewart, because he always wears the +4, so you always see his shoes. They're never covered by pant legs. And he goes, I like that idea. So he approached Payne's people and they struck a deal. And so the gold-toed shoes that you always saw Payne wear came from this gentleman that I kind of helped arrange the meeting to get them together. And, I think Payne enjoyed wearing them because it completed his look. Yeah.
Do you remember sorry, I was going to ask, I know I was working at the Fan Radio in Toronto at the time of that fateful day when he had the plane trouble and ultimately lost his life. Do you remember where you were and what your thoughts were?
Yeah, I do, Chris. As a matter of fact, I was hosting the Gary Koch Intercollegiate Golf Tournament here in Tampa at Old Memorial Golf Club. We had 15 teams. So roughly 75 college players and, 30 coaches. So well over 100 people here. And that Monday was the day that they were scheduled to play 36 holes. So they were on the course all day long. And none of these kids had any idea what had happened or what was going on. And I, as the host, would get up before the dinner that evening to speak and welcome everybody. And I had to break the news to a lot of those kids that Payne Stewart was no longer with us, and it was a very emotional evening. I was actually amazed at the reactions from a lot of the kids. You could tell he was a real favorite, player among a lot of those college kids. So it's a day that there are a lot of different days that get etched in your mind and your memory, but that certainly is one. I had done one of the last interviews with Payne before he passed away at the Ryder Cup at Brookline, the '99 Ryder Cup, the big comeback by the American team. I was on the ground covering matches, and a couple of my matches had ended, and they sent me back to the final match, which was Colin Montgomery and Payne Stewart. So I followed them in, and then Payne, as we all know, and a great indicator of his sportsmanship, conceded a very long putt to Colin on the final green, as the outcome had already been determined. His personal record meant nothing to him, and I did an interview with him then, and it was so obvious, what playing for the red, white, and blue meant to him, and how important this win was for the U.S. team, and how much he enjoyed the camaraderie of being part of that team. And it was really, it was just very sad that we lost him as early as we did.
Yeah. I find it very hard to believe that it's 25 years. It just baffles my mind when I think about them, and when I was living in Orlando for that little period of time, Gary, you would remember, and Payne and I would get together over at Grand Cypress, and we'd head out to the new course way out at the back there, and he and I would play 9 holes and just chit and chat and sit in the cart for a couple hours and have a nice evening. We'd do that a couple times a week in the off season, and that's how I got to know him, right? And it was a lot of fun. But one of the stories I remember about Payne, and I kind of laugh about it, and I know you were there, was early in his career. As you said, he was cocky at times, and I remember him walking out on the range with a diamond stud in his ear. Do you remember?
I do remember that.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of razzing going on, and if I remember correctly, the next day when he came out, the diamond stud was gone, never to return again.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate, Ian, and I think you're being very generous by saying there was a little razzing going on. I think there was a lot of razzing going on.
Yeah, it was pretty merciful. Like the poor guy didn't know what way to turn. And his excuse was that he had just had acupuncture in the ears and stuff, and then he had put the stud in. But I remember we were all pretty hard on him that day. That was for sure. So, all right, Clarkey, I know you got a couple questions for Koch. I
want to dive into. I mean, I'm a radio TV guy. You're back in the booth. How exciting is that? And tell us what happened, if you can, and why you're back.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting story. Obviously, at the end of 2022, NBC informed myself and Roger Maltby that our services were no longer needed, that they were going in a different direction. They were going to refresh their team. I guess we had gotten a little too old and too stale by their standards. And it was hard to take, to be perfectly honest with you. I felt like I was still very good at what I did. And I think a number of my colleagues felt the same way. So it was certainly disappointing. I know Roger was very disappointed as well. Roger, they did offer both of us kind of a limited number of what I kind of deemed second tier events, of which Roger decided to do last year. I decided not to. I had always said that if we got to a point where they didn't think I was good enough, then I was going to walk away, and that was pretty much what I decided. I guess it was probably late January of this year. I got a call from the gentleman at NBC who's now running things, Sam Flood. And he inquired if I was interested in being a part of the Players telecast, the 50th Players telecast, since I had been involved in so many in the past. They were going to ask Roger the same if he would like to come back. And it was only to do the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday. I have a feeling that the PGA Tour possibly intervened there and kind of suggested to NBC that it might be a good idea to have the two of us there, since we had both been a part of the Players for such a long period of time in calling the event. I mean, I called the 17th hole for 25 straight years, and Roger was there before I was. So he was close to 30 years of covering the Players. So we both agreed to do it. Both had a really good time doing it. It was great getting to see a lot of people. I think getting to catch up with people that I hadn't seen in over a year was probably more enjoyable and more exciting than actually calling the golf. And obviously, the reaction by a lot of people, social media, and several written articles was so positive that I think the higher-ups at NBC thought, well, maybe we should have them come back to the U.S. Open as well. I got a call about 2 months ago asking if I'd be interested to be a part of the Open coverage, U.S. Open coverage. Initially, they said just 2 days again, Thursday and Friday. I told them I would have to think about it. I was not going to jump in there and just say right away that I would agree to do that. My wife and I had some plans, and I needed to confer with her as to what her thoughts were. And lo and behold, I told him I'd get back to him the next day. Before I could get back to him the next day, I heard from him again saying, we'd like for you to do all 4 days. So I'm not quite sure how that came about. They offered Roger the same thing initially 2 days, and then decided that maybe he should do all 4 as well. So looking forward to it. Obviously, this will be the 4th U.S. Open I've had the opportunity to call at Pinehurst number 2. I've done the 99, the 2005, and the 2014. So that's very special. I have a number of friends there in the Pinehurst area that I'll get to see who I haven't seen in a while. That's will be enjoyable too. And you know, getting to be a part of it. You know, you miss it. You do. You did it for a long period of time. And again, hopefully did it well, and still feel like you're capable of doing it well. So that part will be fun.
And anything after that, have they asked you?
Well, they haven't said anything. So I you know.
We'll get on social media.
Yeah, I was going to say at this stage, we're Roger and I are totally at their mercy and their whim. So, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know I'm going to enjoy you being back in the booth at Pinehurst, and just talking about Pinehurst takes me back to 1980 and the Hall of Fame Classic. You know, I was a young kid. I was 19 years old and caddying for Gary at the time. And I rolled into Pinehurst thinking, yeah, I'll have no problem finding a hotel or anything like that. And lo and behold, this small little village, there was nothing available. And one of the older caddies hooked me up, and I stayed in a room, maybe more like a closet, in the upstairs of the Pinecrest Inn. And I had to take my suitcase off the floor and put it on the bed to open up the room, to open up the door to get in and out, and shared a bathroom with somebody else downstairs. But I have good memories of it. And ever since then, through Pat McGowan, a good friend of Gary's and mine, whose family owns Pine Needles, Mid Pines, and Southern Pines, I have spent a lot of time in Pinehurst over the years. So I get to hang out there, and I have good friends there too. And I love the town. It's awesome. It's really, I think you'll have some fun there next week, Coker.
Oh, I don't think there's any question, Ian. It'll be great to be back, and I've already made arrangements to see Pat McGowan. Looking forward to that. And then my old high school teammate and former PGA Tour professional Eddie Pierce is now living in the area, and we've communicated. We've already got plans to have dinner one night, so it'll be a nice reunion of sorts.
And I'm excited for Mike McGowan, Pat's son, because he's qualified for it to play it in his hometown and everything. And you know, I think Bullitt and Peggy Kirk and Bonnie will be cheering from up above, and Mike has a good tournament, so I'm
no question
for him. Yeah. So,
okay, I want to hear the story. How'd you guys meet? Who wants to take that?
I'll let him tell it, and then I'll let you know if it's accurate or not.
All right, so it's 1980. It's the Kemper Open at Congressional Country Club in Washington, D.C., and I am down there basically to visit my brother Kenny Doig, who was caddying for, I think, Mike Morley at the time. But on Sunday morning, I was at the golf course, and my goal or my thought at the time was to try and get a bag and caddy on the tour for the summer, and you know, just make a bit of money and watch the best players in the world play. I mean, my goal was always to be a player, and I wasn't very good at the time. So, but on Sunday, and I think if I remember, you had a pretty late tee time, pretty close to noon, I think. And I was by the clubhouse, and I saw Gary Koch walk by carrying his own golf clubs. And then he walked up onto the first tee, and he was kind of on his toes looking around over above people. And I pushed my way through the crowd, and I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Koch, I saw you carry your own clubs up onto the tee. Do you need a caddy today?" And his reply was, "Well, my caddy has not shown up, so yes, I do. Have you ever caddied before?" And I answered with, "Not on a PGA Tour event, but I've caddied for my father in the Canadian Amateur and stuff." And Gary asked me if I played golf, and I said, "Yeah, I'm about a 3 handicap." And his next comment was, "Well, that would be great, but you can't caddy in shorts." Back then, we weren't allowed to caddy in shorts. And I looked at him and I said, "How much time do I have?" And he goes, "You've got about 5 minutes." I said, "Don't give that bag to anybody. I'll be right back." And I ran into the pro shop and I bought a pair of $50 pants. Now in 1980, $50 was a lot of money for a pair of pants. And the girls in the pro shop taped them up because they were like 8 inches too long.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember they weren't hemmed.
No, they were not hemmed. They were like nice, fancy pants without being hemmed and everything.
Okay.
And we taped them up, and I ran out and I grabbed the bag, and off we went. And I don't know whether I did a good job or a bad job, but I know at the end of the round, I said to him, first of all, Gary said, "How much did you pay for your pants?" And I told him, and he gave me 50 for that. And then I think he paid me 50 for the day. And then I asked him, I said, "Well, your caddy didn't show up today. Do you need a caddy next week?" And he turned and he said, "You know what? I do. Can you be in Atlanta to caddy 36 holes on Tuesday in the US Open qualifier at Atlanta Athletic Club?" And I had no idea how I was going to get there, but I said, "Yes, I'll be there." And
Wow.
sure enough, on Tuesday, I showed up and I caddied for Kocher. And if I recall, 68, 67 in the low qualifier, correct?
I think that's right. Yeah,
That's right. And a week after that, I was caddying in the US Open. So it was pretty crazy. So how accurate? Was that pretty close, Kocher?
Yeah, I would say, you didn't embellish it too much. Yeah, yeah. No, it was that was very much the circumstances. Come to find out later that the guy that had been working for me had a few too many cocktails the night before and was trying to go back to his hotel room and tripped over one of the parking lot things to stop the car and went face first through the plate glass window.
Oh, no.
So he was out for a while, and it was a good thing that Ian was there for that day, and a good thing he was there for the future as well. So, yeah.
Doigy, did you see at the Canadian Open this week, one of the caddies got hurt, and they pulled a guy out of the crowd?
I did. Fluff got hurt. I don't know if you saw that or not, Kocher, but
yeah, I did see that I guess he slipped. It was real wet going down one of the hills, and and
I'm worried about
76,
him, like 76 years old.
76 years old carrying one of those big staff bags. That's not easy on dry, flat ground.
Yeah.
Now, Gary, I presume you guys play. How many strokes does he ask for?
Well, he can ask for all he wants.
I know.
he
doesn't even want to give me any. I'm a 20 handicapper.
Oh, well, that's not right. That's not right. Hey, he's a professional. I'm a professional. You don't give strokes to other professionals.
Okay, there simple. You go, Doigy.
Yeah,
all right.
It's that simple.
Now, Clarkey, you've opened up to a couple stories, which is good.
Perfect.
Okay. So, and we have played a lot of golf together over the years, Kocher, and I think I've beaten you a couple times. Not a lot. Not a lot. No, you're pretty tough when I'm around. I mean,
I don't like to lose. What can I tell you?
Well, and neither do I. But Dave,
I know.
Just not all that long ago in May, we had a game at Old Memorial, and we came to the last hole, and I think he was, about one up on me, and I made about maybe a 14 or 15 footer on the last hole, and thought, all right, I'm going to at least get a tie out of this. But oh no, you could see the glint in his eye. And he started focusing, and he rolled it in right on top of me. And trust me, there was a little bit of excitement when he did that too. He liked doing that. So
beating some people is just more fun than beating others. I mean, what can I tell you?
Well, what advice would you give Doig? He's struggling with the putter right now.
It's a funny game, Chris. It really is. It's like everybody has their strengths and everybody has their weaknesses. And I've always felt that you try to limit the weakness as much as you can. When we played the round that he was referencing, I thought he had a tendency to kind of miss some putts to the left. It looked to me like his putter was coming up a little too quickly through the ball, catching some in the heel, which would make the ball go to the left. But he's got a good stroke. Look, you don't reach the level that he has and accomplish the things that he's done without being a good putter. A lot of times you just have to believe it, and trust it and go ahead and use it.
Yeah, and right now I'm not believing it. It's pretty bad. So, but
I'll
work on that tomorrow. I'll work on that tomorrow. So Clarkey, I'm going to tell another golf story. This goes back quite a few years, in the mid '90s probably, but. Gary grew up in Tampa on a golf course called Temple Terrace Country Club. And it's a great little golf course. I always loved playing it. We'd always have a good game out there. And we had a standard bet back then. We played a $10 two down automatic Nassau. So that meant the minute you were 2 holes down, another bet started, and then 2 holes down, another bet would start for $10. And we were playing a beer a hole, 1 down automatics. And we teed off this one morning, and I don't know, we were playing with Phil Reed and I think probably Dennis. I think it might have been
I think so.
Right, your brother-in-law Dennis. Anyway, I started birdie, birdie, par, birdie, birdie, and Coker started par, par, bogey, par, par. So I had him 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 on the beer bet. And we're going over to the 6th tee, and I hear this shh. And I look over, and he's opening a can of Coors. And he turns to me and he says, Doigy, I'm putting in some Temple juice, and I'm coming to get you. And he drank a beer every couple of holes for the rest of the round. We had a nice day and everything. And Gary birdied the 6th, and he birdied the 7th, and he birdied the 8th, and he birdied the 9th, and then he eagled the 10th.
Wow.
He parred the 11th, but then I think he birdied 12, 13, and 14, parred 15, birdied 16, 17, and 18. Long story short, I shot 65 and lost $105 and 64 beers.
Wow.
And I can honestly say, Chris, we didn't try to drink them all at one time.
No,
Okay,
we
good.
did.
That's good.
Also, to be honest, I'm not even sure I ever paid that debt off. I'm probably
Yeah, well, next time I see you.
Okay, that sounds good. So,
Yeah.
Chris, I know you wanted to talk to Coker a little bit about our Canadian.
Yeah, well, I'm
contingent on
sitting
tour,
here in Listowel, Ontario, the home of Corey Connors, and like it just seems to me that the Canadian golfers are really making an emergence on the scene right now. From your perspective, being south of the border, do you see the Canadians coming on and more Canadian golfers? Brooke Henderson on the female side as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Yeah, I think this Golf Canada and has really done a great job of kind of helping the kids as they're younger, the better kids, and developing in them. I've gotten to know Derek Ingram a little bit, who kind of is in charge of the Golf Canada program. And yeah, I mean, I think Ian was saying, we talked earlier today, there's 6 Canadians in the field this week in a signature event at the Memorial, which is, that's tremendous. I mean, back when I played, Ian, I'm not sure we had more than 1 or 2 Canadian players on the tour at all.
we had Barr and Halderson, basically.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Dave Barr and Dan Halderson. Yeah,
so
that's exactly
Disco
right.
Dick, you have Disco Dick then?
Yeah, he came a little later than I. He was a little bit later, but yeah, he definitely played. Sure,
yeah.
But now you've got Mackenzie Hughes and Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin and Svensson and Pendrith, and I mean, you've got some really good players, guys that have proven they can win on the PGA Tour. I'm sure they're excited about the President's Cup coming up in Montreal and trying to make that team. And Mike Weir, the kind of godfather of Canadian golf, in my mind, will be the captain. So that'll be spectacular. And, then you've got the Olympics this summer. There'll be 2 Canadians that'll be trying to represent the country in the Olympics. So what I see is they're a very close-knit group. You see them together all the time. They play practice rounds together. You see them out away from the course together. And Chris, a lot of times on the tour, that's a really good thing. You have friends, but oftentimes the tour can be a very lonely place. And, a lot of times too, it's you get that feeling that it's you against everybody else. And to have a group like they have, to where they're all pulling for each other and rooting and hoping that they all play well, that's a big deal. It really is. And I don't see any reason why this won't continue for quite some time.
Yeah. And they're so close. You got to watch too. You have to have your security pass on, or you'll get tackled on the green after a win. You're going to congratulate everybody.
That was pretty funny. That really was.
It was.
So just because we're talking about the Canadians and Nick's win at the Canadian Open last year came up, I'm going to have a little humble brag here. About 10 or 11 years ago, I met Nick in a playoff for the World Par 3 Championship. And I was able to birdie the first playoff hole and take the victory away from him.
I've seen the trophy. It's in your basement.
It's in my basement. And then not long after that, Nick won his first event on the PGA Tour at Pebble Beach. So yeah. And Coker, I just got back from Pebble. I did not remember those greens being as small as they are.
Ooh, yeah, they're tiny.
And they were hard and fast last week.
Yeah.
Hard and fast.
Yeah. So the course was in good shape.
Course was in phenomenal shape.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Surprised. Very surprised.
Good to hear.
Bob May won the tournament at 2 under for the week. So it was a good event, and we're looking forward to it again next year. So maybe you should get a team together to come. It'd be a fun week.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
I'm getting old though. I don't like to travel that much anymore.
I hear you. I think we would be remiss if we didn't touch on Live Golf and the PGA Tour and PIF and the impact that it's having on golf. Because Clarkey and I, before we came on air, were talking about it. And as fans of the game, we miss seeing all the best players playing against each other.
Absolutely. And
that's frustrating for all of us. And I mean, I have you and I talked about it at Old Memorial Poker about, if I was a player in the middle of my career and that money came and was offered to me, would I go? Yeah, probably, because it's life-changing. But I'm still frustrated by it all. And I wish that somehow we could come back together.
Yeah, I agree, Ian. I think your sentiment is echoed by a lot of people. Just until these last couple of events on the PGA Tour, the television ratings have been down virtually every single week. Even the Players' Championship, which came down to the very last putt on the 72nd green when Wyndham Clark lipped out and Scotty Scheffler won, the ratings were down 20+% at one of the tour's premier events. So I think that frustration is showing, and a lot of people are feeling that way. I wish I were optimistic about what I see coming in the future, but for the first time in certainly, I joined the tour in 1975, so we're talking a long time, close to 50 years. I have no idea what the PGA Tour will look like 2 or 3 years from now, which is really pretty unbelievable. It really is. You hear various things. I know Jimmy Dunn reasonably well, the gentleman who just resigned from the policy board, very prominent business guy, Wall Street, firm. Talked with him a little bit after he resigned. He was frustrated, very frustrated. Felt like his expertise was somewhat being ignored, by the players. And it's interesting. The players now have the majority on the board. With the appointment of Tiger Woods, it's now 6 players and 5 independent business directors. I think Lucas Glover on his show, XM radio show here a few weeks ago, summed it up pretty well. He goes, look, professional golfers play golf. They practice, they hit balls, they play golf really well. Independent business directors are businessmen. They're used to dealing with these types of mergers and billion-dollar companies and so forth and so on. And yet we're in a position where the good golfers are making a lot of the decisions. So I'm concerned about that. I wonder where that will lead. There's kind of word out there now that Tiger and Jordan Spieth and Patrick Cantlay feel that because this SSG group's commitment of $3 billion to the PGA Tour, they've already given them $1.5 billion, and about almost $1 billion of it went out right away to reward players for staying, and old guys for getting the tour where it is, and so forth and so on. I think those 3 on the policy board feel that there's no immediate need to make a deal happen. And if that's the case, then, there's no telling. And it's complicated. I mean, there's no question about it. It's very complicated. And no matter what decision is made, and if a merger does come about, somebody's going to be happy and somebody's going to be unhappy. There's no doubt. To me, a couple of the biggest sticking points are, how do you bring guys back? The guys who left, the DeChambos and the Dustin Johnsons and the Cam Smith and those guys that are in the prime of their career. You can't let them just walk back in. That's not fair to the guys who stayed. The other issue to me potentially is, it seems as though to the Saudis, this team concept is a very big deal. I don't see how you incorporate that into the PGA Tour unless you do it at the very end of the year. You end the tour regular season, at the Tour Championship, and then maybe have some team competition in the fall after that. I don't know. There just seems to be way more questions than anybody has answers for. So that's probably one of the reasons why I'm so pessimistic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary thought. You've got a player that's been around the tour for 50 years and he's pessimistic about where we're going. So, it's not just the golf world's changing. Everything's changing, right? And the spectators that are watching the game now are, and even the players coming up. Most of them are pretty good, but we had a section event at my club here the last couple of days, and I was pretty frustrated by the level of etiquette shown by my fellow PGA golf professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is part hand in hand with what's going on in the world out there. And
what do you mean, Ian, though? What did you see?
Dress the way the attire that they wear, driving the carts wherever the hell they wanted to. I went down to the range, and we have a beautiful path that goes down by the side of the range to park the carts on. Yeah. And they had the carts all over the grass and up on the range and everything. They didn't give a damn. And I would walk over to them and gently say to them, put your cart on the cart path for me, please. And I'd get a you. And that's frustrating. I just don't understand it. And that comes a lot from this gentleman that we have on tonight, because, he took me under his wing when I was a 19-year-old kid and caddying for him. And we'll get into this in a second, but he taught me to have integrity and professionalism in my game and how I handled myself. And because of that, it led to me to have a lot of good things happen to me over my career, and it was because of Gary Koch. So yeah. So
yeah, and the sad thing to me, Ian, is I learned it from the generation before me,
right,
and I was able to pass it on to you. And now it seems like we're at a point where that's lost. It's like this. So many of the young people nowadays don't care about the generation before them, or how they got there, or how they succeeded. I had a number of different people that kind of guided me and shepherded me along. Jim Colbert. Jim used to live here in Tampa when I was just starting out on the tour. And, Jim had been on tour for quite some time. And, I played a lot of practice rounds with him and spent a lot of time with him in the off season here in town. And he taught me the importance of, just like you were saying, how you conduct yourself, how you deal with people, how you try to give back when help those less fortunate. My longtime agent, Vinny Giles, U.S. amateur champion, British amateur champion, U.S. senior amateur champion, great player, but a true gentleman. And, he demanded that of me. He just said, look, you need to, you're representing more than just yourself. You're representing all of the PGA Tour anytime you do anything. And you need to understand that, you're only going to benefit by doing things the right way. And he had a simple saying, and I'll never forget it. And I always tried to implement it when I played in pro-ams, because a lot of guys nowadays, they just don't care in the pro-ams. They don't interact with the amateurs. They just, they do their own thing. And Vinny always told me, he said, look, just treat people the way you'd like to be treated. And that was pretty simple. Yeah. But it was a great line. It was something that I always remembered. And every pro-am I played in, that was my goal. Just treat those people the way, if I were on the other side of it, how would I like to be treated? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what you taught me, and you also taught me to write thank you cards.
Yep.
And the thank you cards have led to great friendships that I've had over the years, and one of those friendships was with Mr. Arnold Palmer. You introduced me to him, and probably 1980 or 81, and we had lunch and stuff, and you said, make sure you write him a thank you card, and Tom Scarborough, and it led to me playing out of Bay Hill for a couple of years. So it was the mentorship from you that helped me along to end up being able to do what I was able to do. And did I make millions on the PGA Tour? No, I didn't, but I've had a pretty incredible life when I look back on it, and I've been pretty lucky. So, Joker, thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Ian. And now I'm going to put it on you that you need to find somebody, and I'm sure you have, and I want you to continue to mentor people. That's how it all works. So. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that. I've got a couple kids right now that are in college and that, and I just played with one of them a week ago, and I told them exactly that. I said, look, when I was young, I had some guys that helped me out, and I always said to them I didn't know how I could ever repay them, and their answer was just pay it forward.
Yep.
And that's what I'm able to do now, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So. Clarkey, do you have anything else that you would like?
The only thing, hey, let's just talk a little bit of what's happening in the golf world right now. Like Scotty Scheffler, is there anyone better? Is this guy just getting better and better every day? What do you think?
When you watch him play, you look at the statistics, and look, it's a relatively short period that we're looking at.
Yeah. But
the stats that he's produced in a relatively short period of time are Tiger-like. Yeah. They really are. Now, will he continue it for the next 15 years or 18 years or however long Tiger did? That remains to be seen. But certainly, every aspect of his game is good or really good. And now that his putting has improved, I mean, he's for the first time ever inside the top 75 in strokes gained putting. Now that that's improved, I just don't see where he's going to have any prolonged slumps or anything like that.
Unless he's in jail.
But he didn't stay long.
No, he didn't. I'm just kidding. Charges were dropped.
Still came out and shot 66 after going to jail. So,
exactly. So I said that to somebody the other day. They asked me about it, and I said, well, I know me, and I would have shot 106.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that is incredible.
But I think that is a real testimony too of his composure. Yeah. Just the way he conducts himself. He's a man of great faith. Mm-hmm. You can tell that. You don't see him get real excited very often, and you don't see him get very down very often. And that even keel can go a long way. In helping consistency. And looking at the stats, he's number 1 in strokes gained approach. He's number 5 in strokes gained around the green. And you talk Pinehurst, North Carolina, Pinehurst number 2, the U.S. Open. It's an approach shot golf course trying to hit to those turtleback greens. And when you do miss the green, there's some very interesting short game shots. And, 2 of his strongest categories. So you have to think that, come the end of the week at the U.S. Open, he'll be right there.
So we always do a little draft, a little pool on this show with Doigy and my other partner, Ryan Drury. Who give us a little insight besides Scotty? Who would you go with at the U.S. Open then?
That's a good question.
Like Ian always picks Rory. Like he loves to pick Rory. He loves to pick Ludwig Aberg. Guys like that. But yeah.
Well, I think you're going to see Will Zalatoris play well there. And the reason I say that is he's a high ball hitter. Okay. And his strokes gained approach is pretty good. I think he's in the top 25 in that category. And I like the fact that he's got the upright swing. It always seems to produce, some nice high, soft approach shots. He's putting better since he's changed his method now. He was another guy that was very rarely, I don't think had ever been inside the top 100 in strokes gained putting, and is now. Another guy that I like is Hideki Matsuyama. Mm-hmm. Usually his strokes gained approach is in the top 10 on the tour. He's not there this year, but his stats have been improving tremendously. He's in the top 25 now. But he's number 1 in strokes gained around the green. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Hideki have a good week there as well. And he's a very patient man. And I think you're going to need to have some patience around there because you're going to get some funny rolls off some of those greens, and the ball's going to end up in some strange places if you miss the fairways.
Yeah, and off those greens, as we know, Coker, I mean, your ball could be 4 or 5 feet from the flag at 1 second, and 15 seconds later, you've got a 40-yard pitch shot over a hump, right? It can be just crazy. So
yeah, and the thing I like too about it, Ian, the design, it allows for a lot of different shots around the greens. You go back to 2014, and Martin Keimer basically putted every single time he missed a green, unless he had to go over a bunker. He putted. And he won by 8 shots. So, obviously that worked. A lot of guys will try, to hit the little spinny wedge off the tight Bermuda lies. Some guys will play little bump and runs with 6 and 7 irons. So, you'll see a little bit of everything. I've always felt one of the ways to really kind of put doubt in a player's mind is give them a lot of options.
Right. Is that where John Daly got frustrated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 8, he missed the green to the left, hit it up the hill, hit it up the hill, hit it up the hill, and then hit it on the run and walked into the clubhouse.
Yes. Okay.
That's exactly right. Good memory there, Chris.
Yeah, it is good for you, Clarkey. So, all right. Well, we've been almost an hour here, Coker. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
I want you to think back to Kemper Open 1980 and that day that I picked up the bag and caddied for you. So let's just talk about that day in itself. Does anything stand out for you in the job that I did that day?
Well, I think you really, you kind of did exactly what, a caddy's supposed to do. You showed up, you kept up, and you shut up. So, I mean, you were the dream caddy.
Yeah. So,
you did a really nice job. I do remember, it was a difficult situation. Obviously you didn't know me. I didn't know you. Right. But I thought, you handled yourself very well. As probably to be expected, there wasn't a lot of conversation between us because we didn't know each other very well.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, I had the yardage book. I don't even think you had a yardage book.
I did not. No.
So, I probably did most of the yardage. I think you kind of helped me a few times on that. But I do think too, Ian, and again, nothing, against you by any means. Caddies back then were different than the caddies now.
Yeah.
The caddies now are so involved, and I think personally they can be a detriment at times. Yeah. I think there's too much information provided, and at times I think the player doesn't take enough responsibility. Yeah. They listen too much to the caddy, too much to the information. To me, all I wanted, I wanted my caddy to have the numbers. So if I asked what it was to the front of the green, he better know. If it was a carry over a bunker of another 6 yards, he better have that information. If I asked how much green there was behind the pin before I got to the back of the green, he better have that information. But once I had that information and I processed that information, I was the one swinging the club. I knew what shot I had confidence in, whether it was a hard 7 iron or an easy 6 iron. I was, the caddy, unless I asked my caddy what he thought, I didn't want any more information than that. And I didn't ask him very often because it was my responsibility.
Were you willing to carry the bag on your own if Ian didn't show up?
Well, I was not going to carry the bag. Okay. It was a staff bag, and there was no way in hell I was going to walk up and down the hills at Congressional carrying my own bag and trying to play.
So you're just
I guess what I would have done is probably if he hadn't shown up and it had gotten another couple of minutes farther along, I would have looked for some big guy in the gallery and said, "Hey, you want to make $50 today?"
Nice.
Yeah.
The thing that Coker didn't realize when he said yes to me was that he was going to get me for 45 years.
Well, that's true. Sometimes you get lucky.
Coker, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and I think we touched on a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just want talking about he would want his yardage, Clarkey. I will tell this story. I don't think I really screwed up too many times. I missed one tee time. and I learned my lesson. And I thought
I think
about
that was in Phoenix, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was. And I thought about it the other day because I got to the putting green at Pebble, and that was our next week. And you had said to me, I'll see you at Pebble tomorrow morning at 7:00. And we drove through the night to get to Pebble, and you never showed up. And then you showed up on Tuesday morning and you looked at me and said, "Did you learn your lesson?" And I went, "Yes, I did." So that was one. And
There you
then
go.
one other time, again at Phoenix, we did the yardage. I did the yardage, and we talked about the club, and you picked the club and you hit the shot, and it was right at the flag. And as the crowd over the green started to look up as the ball went over their heads, out of bounds, you looked at me and said, "What was that yardage?" There might have been a few more colorful words in there. And instead of subtracting the number, I had added the number, and we hit it about 30 yards too far. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, I think it was.
I didn't want to bring that
same.
up. Yeah,
I think it was the same week.
Yeah,
I was having a tough week.
In that case, you didn't have a very good week, buddy.
No, I did not have a good week that week. So, yeah. And then one other quick one. Coker picked me up in Atlanta. Geez, I think Rachel was probably born already because you had the van.
Mm-hmm.
And you drove up and picked me up at Atlanta. I was babysitting Kevin Stadler that night, and you picked me up and we jumped in the van and we drove up to Connecticut. We were going
Hartford
to Hartford.
Right, going to play the Monday qualifier.
We'll play the Monday qualifier, and Sunday morning we're having breakfast, and I'm looking in the newspaper and I'm looking at the tee sheet, the tee times, and I'm like, Coker, I'm not sure we're playing this week. And you had forgot to commit. Yep. So we jumped in the van and we drove to Seaforth, Ontario for a couple of days.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. Then we headed on over to Michigan from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Nice.
Good memories and funny stories, right? And that's kind of what I was hoping for today. So
Yep. Good stuff.
Right. Thank you so much.
Coker, we almost forgot to mention this. Coker just won medalist in the qualifying for the U.S. Senior Open, and he's off to Newport Country Club out in Rhode Island to play in the Senior Open, U.S. Senior Open, in a few weeks. And we just want to wish him luck and have a good one out there, Coker.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Ian. Thanks. Yeah, the old guy, I had a day where I played like the Gary Koch of old instead of old Gary Koch.
Yeah, there we go. So,
84
perfect.
guys for 2 spots, shot 68, got one of the 2 spots. So
nice.
Broke my age by 3 in competition. So a good day.
That's my dream one day.
Yeah, nicely done, Coker. Have fun out there. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on everything, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good, guys.
Thanks. Buddy.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Wrapping things up on a very exciting week here on Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. I was sad that I couldn't be part of the interview with Gary Koch. I had to go see Knocked Loose in Toronto, guys. Sorry, I just I had tickets. I could not go and see Knocked Loose, and they knocked me loose. I think I knocked a few bones loose in that pit. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, Gary Koch, thanks so much. Like, amazing that he gave you so much of his time. He's a busy guy. What an interview. Super interesting and a really well-spoken guy who clearly loves the game, Clarkey.
Absolutely. And if we didn't even get into it on the interview, but he was dealing with a little flood in his house. He had a washer, a new washer delivered, and they forgot to hook up a pipe. And he had a flood in his house during the day. So he was dealing with this. The worst part about it is the washing machine is on the second floor of his house. So you can imagine what he was going through. So anyway, he was dealing with that, but gave us some time. So it was good.
Talk
really
about
good.
being in the rough, man. That's a bummer. Gary, we really appreciate it. And you know who else we appreciate? Our friends over at Larry Hudson's.
Yeah,
it's summertime. It's hot. And year round. Doesn't matter if it's sub-zero. The deals are hot at Larry Hudson's, Clarkey.
They are. And not only that, we have a 40th anniversary giveaway. $40,000 in giveaways.
Whoa.
Contest right now. So come on in. Chance to win some dough. If you buy a vehicle, yeah, it's good. And we have, like, the lot is good right now. Lots of choices on the lot. Tracks, Chevy Tracks, beautiful little vehicle. We got Corvettes, we got Camaros, we got Yukons, Suburbans, Tahoes. Things we haven't seen since the before COVID days are now back on the lot. Lots of trucks, of course, half tons, 3/4 tons. They're all there. Ryan, Hudson's has it.
Hudson's does have it, and the deals are always hot with our friends at Larry Hudson. Go see them. Go see them. And by the way, our friends over at the Listowel Squash Courts, Al, who of course now owns the Listowel Legionnaires baseball team. For everybody watching and listening to this on Friday, June 7th, Saturday, June 8th. So our viewers on Sunday, it'll be too late for this. But if you see this and hear this Friday, Saturday, June 8th is Listowel Minor Ball Day over at the John Bell Diamond. The youth teams are going to be playing all day, leading up to a matinee matchup at 4 p.m. between the Junior Legionnaires and the Senior Legionnaires. And you know those kids want to beat the older guys, and the older guys don't want to get embarrassed by the kids. So come down to the Diamond. It's going to be a great day. Lots of proceeds there are going to be going toward Listowel Minor Ball. And obviously, food and drink sales supporting the Legion branch as well. So head down and support that.
Nice.
Let's dig in quickly. Look, we know this, right? Okay. And someone on either the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup final or the Florida Panthers is going to learn this. Winners win. And the Canadian Open golf picks. This was a close one. Clarkey gave me a real run, and producer Adams got it. He gave me a real run. This was a tight one, but unfortunately by 4 strokes, I have triumphed. I have triumphed again, and that's okay. That's my sixth win of the year, 6 in 8 events. Thank you very much. And the dominance continues. And you know what, Clarkey? I was actually cheering for your team, and we're going to get into that in a second as to why. But there's our Canadian Open pick results. I win by 4 strokes. Rory and Mr. Corey Connors, Mr. Listowel.
Yeah, he had a good tournament.
Yeah, he was top Canadian, won the award for top Canadian. Good for Corey. Let's dig right into our other friends who we love here very much. Everybody around the area loves Conway Furniture. And the reason why is because at Conway Furniture, let me tell you what, when you go in there and you see the prices on all the great stuff they have in there to revamp your home, help you be a couch potato like us here, the price includes HST and free delivery. Okay. So that's included on everything that you see in there. And for anybody who maybe doesn't know at this point, I don't know how you don't, but we've got a special friend. Our buddy Phil Main will tell you where Conway Furniture is. Phil?
Conway Furniture, Highway 86, just east of Listowel.
That's right. It's easy to remember. Head in there, see our friends at Conway Furniture. Conway Furniture Couch Potatoes. Clarkey, as per usual, it's what we usually do anyway. I'd like you to go first. Please go ahead.
I will go first, and I'm going to throw to a clip. And I don't usually talk about politicians on this show, but one of them nailed something on the head this week. Adam, roll it. This is Rachel Thomas, a member of Parliament.
We had a historic event take place, and that was Game 6 between the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. And of course, the winning team goes on to compete for the Stanley Cup, which is quite a great achievement. That winning team was the Edmonton Oilers, the Canadian team that will represent us as we go for that cup. Should we be successful, it will be the first in more than 30 years, the first time in more than 30 years, which is quite exciting. Canadians tuned into the CBC in hopes that they would be able to watch the game there, but unfortunately were not able to because it was not made available. It's a public broadcaster, it's paid for with tax money, and so of course for Canadians to be forced to subscribe in order to be able to access that game seemed altogether inappropriate. The motion that I'm giving notice of reads as follows. Given that the CBC receives $1.4 billion from taxpayers, the CBC holds the rights to broadcast the NHL playoffs. The CBC chose not to broadcast the Edmonton Oilers game that sent them to the Stanley Cup finals. The committee calls on the CBC to commit to broadcasting all Stanley Cup final games and report this finding to the House. This motion is now on notice at committee. Thank you.
Wow, love this.
So
Thank you very
CBC,
much.
you are part of my couch potato of the week. No excuse, Ryan. It's a money grab. It's a total money grab. They showed just for
All of
laughs
it is.
instead. It's a money grab. It was going to happen when this other company, Sportsnet, got a hold of the rights, and both of them are my couch potato of the week. I don't know the behind the scenes there. I used to. I don't know anymore.
No, but Clarkey,
But
not
I
the
know
point.
it's not the point. The CBC owns the rights. Sportsnet owns the rights. I'm pretty sure when they got the rights, they promised that these games would be on CBC. And of course, a big game. Nope. You're going to have to pay to make sure you watch the game on Sportsnet. So, but the finals apparently will be on CBC.
Yeah.
So
Sports
if you have a
fans-
digital antenna, you can still watch for free. It's the one thing you can do for free still in this country is watch digital TV.
Sports fans on this side of the border, south of the border, all over the world are consistently getting gouged to watch their favorite teams. I'm sick of it. It's puke worthy. And in general, the broadcasting giants out there are absolute criminals. And I support anything that points the finger at that. So that's a great couch potato, buddy. Mine's a little better, though.
Okay.
Mine's a little bit better. And look, we like to have fun here on the show, and we have a lot of fun. And Clarkey and I take jabs at each other, but it's all in good nature. It's all in jest, because Clarkey and I love each other. We're good friends. We do the show like we're not just co-hosts. We're buddies. We have a relationship. All right. And I have made Chris the butt of a couple jokes in the form of my couch potato. Pretty recently, too, but a couple different times in the past. There was the Cowardly Lion era, all that stuff. Well, that is over now. That's over. Because our friend and yours, Chris Clark, did a pretty big achievement. And it's bigger than the Edmonton Oilers going to the Stanley Cup final. Christopher Clark, Adam, roll the film. Christopher Clark pulling off one of the greatest engagement proposals I think any of us have ever seen. For anybody watching, that's Chris in the middle leading this flash mob dance off in order to lead up to him proposing to his wonderful fiance, Sue. Yes, she said yes. And it was just an incredible night on the beaches of Grand Bend. There was about 50 friends and family gathered there to watch this, and it was just incredible. So my couch potato of the week absolutely is Christopher Clark in the best way possible. Clarkey, congratulations. What's this? Look at
like, the sunset.
What are you feeling?
Like it was. I'm getting goosebumps again because it just turned out to be an unbelievably perfect night. Like, look at the sunset. Like, that's what I ordered. Like, we were doing it May 31st, like rain or shine. I had these dancers. I worked with them for like a month and a half to figure out exactly what we were doing. And I said, well, what if it's raining? And then they said, we'll dance in the rain. I'm like, I don't think I can get Sue down on the beach in the rain. But I said to them at that point, doesn't matter. It's going to be a beautiful night. I'm convinced it's going to be a beautiful night. And there it was, a beautiful night. So yeah, it was fun. I've been told I really raised the bar for anyone thinking of proposing in the future. That's the bar that's been set. So jury, if you if you are gonna propose, you have to
relax.
Do one better than that to Kate. If that, well, it's gonna happen. Come on, it's gonna happen. But I'll help you. Okay, you just talk to me and we'll figure something out, because it's got to be good.
Good.
It's got to be good. Sue always said, if you're gonna propose, make sure it's good. And I think she was shocked. She had no idea. It was even pretty good. Like, you were there, Ryan. There was 50.
I was there.
There was 50 people, probably 15 feet behind her, and she never turned around.
She never noticed us. And
she didn't notice. Amped. She didn't notice until I started dancing, and then she looked around.
Yeah.
And my daughter actually had to yell at her to watch the dance. She's like, "Oh yeah." So anyway, it was a fun night, and yes, she said yes. So I'm a happy guy.
It was incredible. Congratulations,
thank you,
Chris and Sue.
Thank you.
It's incredible stuff, buddy. Hey. That we can't not end the show on a better note than that. Love is in the air. Exactly. All right. And Clarkey and Sue, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching the show. Thanks so much to Gary Koch. Oh, okay.
We have to at least give a prediction for let's not relive. I was 0 for 2 in the conference finals. Stanley Cup predictions. Just a quick one. You go first.
I'm on the band. Give me the Oilers in 7 after that McDavid performance in Game 6. That goal he scored. Give me the Oilers. It's McDavid's time.
Panthers in 5.
Okay. Wow. There you
Panthers
go.
in 5. You had you had this. Yeah, we both had the same. So yeah, I say Panthers in 5. Good news for Oiler fans, and for anyone wondering, no, I'm not gonna be cheering for the Oilers because I'm in Canada. Give me a break. Like I hate this. I hate this thing. Oh, we're in Canada. We got to cheer for the Canadians. No, we don't. No, we don't.
I understand.
Anyway, there we go.
Though.
Now you can wrap up the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Gary Koch for spending time with Clarkey and Doigy. Thank you guys for watching the show, which you can do Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod, where we post great clips from the show every week. And of course, thanks to our great friends at Conway Furniture, Larry Hudson, Chevrolet Buick GMC, the Listowel Squash Courts. We will see you next week with more Instigating.